All right. This is part two, I guess, of Mystery of God Revealed. In the other video, I was saying how the uh, parallels between George Washington and Jesus and the creation. Uh, I didn't say this in there, but my belief is that the story of Jesus Christ is the construction of the righteous nation, um, the beacon of the world. You understand what I'm saying? And the reason, one of the things is like Jesus was born outside of the inn, and to me that could mean Europe. Uh, there was no room in Europe to create a giant nation like the United States, and in fact, they had one before. Supposedly, Rome would have been a kind of like the United States Roman Empire, where all them states consolidated all their power into one. And so the resurrection of Rome as the United States is that. And I'm going to give you some good reasons here. And there's two things, and really three things. The Good Samaritan story that Jesus tells, the author of the gospel tells uh, as Jesus. Um, the third beast in Revelation, and that's Revelation 6 verses 5 and 6. Also, the story of the woman who had the issue of blood that in one story touched the border of his garment. That I think maybe two stories has it as that. And I think Matthew says that he turned around and caught her and said that your faith has saved you. But basically, it's all the same story. Um, now, Mark 6:3 has Jesus as being the carpenter, and he's the brother of James, Joseph, Judah, and Simon. And then Matthew 13, verse 55, is basically the same thing, except uh, instead of Jesus being the carpenter, he's the carpenter's son. Now, the carpenter probably is Washington and the guys, the Masons that are building the nation. So he'd be their son. Um, now, it's very important when they go through the list of the disciples, it always starts with Peter or Simon, the same guy. He's, he's the brother of Jesus, and then Andrew would be his brother. Then it goes James and John all the time. And these guys are mentioned as doing battle in the books of 1 and 2 Maccabees with this great power. Uh, so uh, a lot of people also they're thinking that Mary or their parents were married to certain guys, and some of them are Zebedees. And then it says in italics in the King James version, son of Zebedee. But if you take out son, it's just of Zebedee. So it might be a thing that we're not. Who knows what Zebedee is? But if he's a father to some of these guys, he's a father to some of them and not to some of the other ones. They have different dads, different moms, and they're brothered a certain way. And the reason for that is because they weren't marrying. They were they were like the angels of heaven when Jesus explains it. And out of convenience, I think, and to seal up the words, so to speak, and to give us a mystery, but yet reveal to those with understanding, it's talked about as they were Mary and Joseph were going to be married. Um, anyway, I'm going to relate to you this story, how it all ties in. That it was when they were going to go into the house to heal the 12-year-old girl, a daughter of Jairus. They were going to go into a house, and he takes with him Peter, who is Simon, James, and John, and then the parents. And um, now, to me, the Good Samaritan story is about um, those people going into the house, and it's relates also to those 1 and 2 Maccabees when they're doing the battles, because that concerns Simon, James, John, Judas too. Judas, the Maccabees. But so anyway, they're going to go into this house and heal this girl of 12 years, and that's kind of a code word, because the woman who touches the border of his garment, when virtue goes out, when virtue is truth, when virtue goes out of him, she was immediately healed. This woman who had an issue of blood 12 years. This is the story of uh, Ishmael and his 12 dukes um, being circumcised. And the other circumcision would be the girl of 12 years, that'd be Isaac, I think. But the reason I say this and I relate it to the Good Samaritan is because they say, uh, who was like a neighbor. And he says, first there was a priest who saw the man who was beat down and stripped and left for dead. Priest walked by the other side. Then a Levite walked by, a Levite. And then came Simon, was the Good Samaritan. Now to me, they're going into this house in that story of that little girl. And first came James, was the priest. Then came John, was the Levite. He brought us the law. And then came Simon the Samaritan. Now what's very interesting is he binds up the wounds, and then he pours in oil and wine and puts him on his own beast. It's the third beast of Revelation. It just so happens that there is one guy who walks by, the priest James. Then there's the other guy who walked by, the Levite John, or the people who brought us our circumcision back when we were circumcised. That would have been Washington. He would have been a Levite, brought us the law. And then kind of like the Bill of Rights is 10 commandments, if you can dig it. But then the Samaritan comes by, and that's the guy who carried the cross, the Southern Cross, the Confederacy, into the house. And because it's that third beast, and it just so happens that it says in there on a penny, they have wage for a penny or whatever, and Abraham Lincoln is on the penny. It's kind of a really neat coincidence, I guess. I don't think it's much of a coincidence, but he puts him on his own beast. I thought that was very significant, that it would have been that third beast. So hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. Um, any questions or any comments? Go ahead. If you think I'm an idiot, you can tell me. I don't care. This is just a little bit of something that I figured out. I figured out a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to put it all on here right now. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me know what you think. Peace.